up, fam? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be walking you guys through on some key business card application tips. So make sure to go through this before you guys start actually sending out those applications. So a couple things I do want to note before we actually get into applying for business credit cards is anytime you are applying, make sure you're screenshotting the applications to have all your data points or details. I'm going to be providing the funding report template Excel doc to keep track of, when you applied, which LLC, all this information, just so you have it all organized. And it's really important to have this information handy and available, because if we're applying for multiple cards, or we ever have to go through reconsideration or apply for credit limit increases or whatever, sometimes the banks will ask you questions regarding on how you answered the application. So if you tell them one thing and then tell them another later, it doesn't make you look as attractive and they're not going to want to work with you. So play it smart, keep all the details. Keep all the details. So the other thing too is I'll be walking you guys through in this video. We're going to be focusing on the top 4 national banks. That's Chase, Amex, Bank of America, and US Bank. And I'll be going through a kind of live application with you guys on some tips there, so you'll see that. But you'll see here, we want to be optimistic with the numbers anytime we're applying. And obviously, our biggest goal is to maximize the approval for each card. That's the first and foremost. Something to acknowledge, though, is that low limits and denials do happen from time to time. And that's just the nature of the game. You're not going to win every shot that you go after. You might be going for a high approval card. They give you like a lower limit than expected. That stuff is normal. What we're doing is, because we know everything on the back end on what they're looking for, is we're increasing the odds for getting those approvals and the higher limits. But sometimes it doesn't always work out in our best favor. And in the other videos, I discuss how to handle reconsiderations, how to get credit limit increases, and that's just the name of the game. But the important thing here to know is there are so many banks and credit cards out there to apply that if we could just keep the ball rolling. That's the important part. If we don't take L's, we take lessons. So if you made a mistake or something wasn't done correctly, or you learned something new, like a requirement that bank had that we didn't know before, jot down that lesson, share it with the community, so when we apply with them again for their other cards or under another LLC, we come in stronger than the first time. But without further ado, let me share my screen. I'll show you guys how to do it. All right, guys, welcome. So this is the business card application tips. Right now, I'm going to be focusing once again on the top 4 national banks. We're going to go through Chase, Amex, Bank of America, and US Bank. So just going to give you some tips and share this screen. So we're going to, just type in Chase business credit cards, show you all these different options. Again, we want to make sure we're going for the ones with 0% interest, because this is what we're going to use to get into these real estate deals. So we're going to go ahead and apply now. If we're able to get you connected with a relationship manager, we'll apply through them. But this is going to be basically the same information, personal information, pretty straightforward. Put all that info on. The important thing to put here is when we're filling this information out, we want to be optimistic with our numbers, right? We don't want to sell ourselves short to these banks. And also too, like if I'm pitching my business to a bank, I want to put myself in the best light possible. I don't want to sell myself short, but also I want to be, as truthful as possible as I could be on that. So when we're filling out this application, legal, business structure, whatever it is, you don't ever want to be a sole prop. They want it like something like an LLC or corporation looks more legit to them. So, for me, all my businesses are LLCs at the time. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. Just one moment. I'm just pulling up some data points right now. So for total gross annual income, I would put something like, you know, this is this is kind of like your projected annual income. So I would put something, put like, let me see here. We could say like 150K is the gross annual income. Put your LLC, another name like a trade name. No. Type in your EIN, pretty straightforward. Business is physical. And then something to put on here is whenever banks ask for employees, it's always a good idea. They don't verify this information. And if they see you have more employees, it makes you look more attractive because, your business is actually big enough to where you could hire people. It's not a one-man show. So you could put something like, 7 or something like that. You don't want to put like too much, like, if the numbers don't make sense, like for example, for estimated annual business revenue, we see a lot of success when people are putting, 450,000 on this, because this is, I want to be optimistic. This is my goal on how much I want to be able to get. So, you just put that there. If your actual annual business revenue is above 450K, then it's okay to be, kind of inflate those numbers a little bit more. Business category. So right here, for all intents and purposes, right, since we were applying for, to get funding for real estate, the important thing with this is, we want to show them that we're a low risk business. So real estate technically isn't the most attractive. It does have some risk. So I always like to put, like, for example, my Airbnb arbitrage business, I don't own any of that property. I'm more so on the marketing side. So I labeled it as marketing. Consulting is that could apply to any industry in the world. So that's the one I recommend. So let's see here. What would be most closely related to consulting? So professional services, business type. We do, so we could do something like scientific and tech consulting. So yeah, management, scientific and tech consulting services. Because technically, with real estate, let's say you're doing like fix and flip, you are doing some level of consulting on that. So sub business type, it doesn't really matter for any of these as long as it's under consulting. You're going to be labeled low risk, but I'll just do admin and general management consulting. Estimated monthly spend. We typically see good results when you're putting anything between 40 and 75,000. If the bank sees you, okay, they're expecting estimated monthly spend, they're going to be having a lot of money coming in and out each month, they're more likely to want to give you a higher credit limit. So, I'll just do something like 50,000, percent of ownership, 100%, whatever that is for you. And then, you'll fill out that application and then submit, and you'll be good to go. If we're applying through the relationship manager, it's basically kind of like the same process. They'll send you your own application, but that's Chase Bank, guys. Let me go through Amex. So, we're going to type up Amex, business credit cards. Again, we want the 0%. So let's find that. $0 annual fees, 0% for 12 months. Let's click apply now. Pretty basic. Again, put all your company info here. Important, again, is the industry type. We want to be labeled low risk so we look more attractive to give more funding. So if we're going to be doing something like consulting / marketing, let's see. Finance / real estate. What is this? So we're going to put other for this one. Cool. Years in business, type in your years in business, number of employees. I always like putting somewhere anywhere between like 4, no more than 10. So I'm just going to say we got 6. Again, they don't actually verify this. annual business revenue. Be optimistic again, even if it's new. You know, the way we apply is we're going to be going for no doc check approvals anyway, so they don't verify it. We just don't want to overstate things too much, because then that might trigger a red flag to where they actually start asking for like tax documents, bank statements, and stuff like that. And obviously we don't want to put that. So, you know, annual business revenue, we could do the same thing that we put for Chase, 450,000. Let me just cross-reference that real quick. Yeah, so 450,000 is usually a good number. Let's see here. And then estimated monthly spend, you know, we see pretty good results when we put anywhere between 30 and 50,000. I'm just gonna meet it in the middle, 40,000. Federal tax ID, that's your EIN. Pretty straightforward. For a role, you know, you could put owner. Local, so all your personal info. Pretty straightforward, guys. But yeah, with Amex, always apply for a credit limit increase after you've applied and received the card, but do not activate it. Talk to a person once the card gets in your hand. Don't activate it. Call, talk to a person. Sometimes they'll try to push you off to just say apply online and just be like, hey, I'd really like to talk to a person regarding this, because I also have some additional questions regarding the credit limits and information on the card, because sometimes they'll try to just have you do it online. You want to talk to a person because there's a little bit more flexibility versus, you know, your request just going through an algorithm. You don't really get a chance to make a case for yourself. So again, you want to talk to someone, and you know, you talk to them by calling the number on the back of the card. So if they try to have you do it online, just tell them you have additional questions regarding the credit, and you want to talk to a representative. In the case these credit limit increases aren't successful, all you got to do is, you know, we'll shoot for a 3x credit limit increase of whatever you got. If it's not successful, then do some spending on the card for 181 days if you could max them out, and then immediately pay them off. And just the more times you do that, the more the bank is going to see, okay, this guy is trustworthy. The limit we gave him obviously isn't enough. We'll give him an increase, and they do a soft pull anyway. So honestly, I would go for it every 3 months, applying for a credit limit increase, because it's not going to hurt you, right? It's a soft pull. So if whether you get denied or approved, it doesn't matter. So that's Amex. Next bank I want to go through with you guys is, let's go US Bank. So Amex is really cool because, again, they have 2 0% business credit cards. Chase has 2. US Bank, unfortunately, only has 1. But this is really cool, though, because it is 0% for 18 months. So that's a year and a half. That's a long time. Which one is it? It's this one. Boom, boom. Heck yeah, and there's no annual fee, so we're good there. When it comes to US Bank, again, basic information, year the business started, business owner, save and continue, annual business revenue. You know, we're going to do the same thing, 450,000. God, do I have to fill this out? I really don't want to have to fill. Business owners LLC. I have to pull this up. 1 moment. Let's do. I'm gonna take one of my LLCs and get funding for this one. I'm not really ready to apply for this, but I'm just gonna put that information in here, just so we can get to the next page. But I'm not gonna send the application just yet because I don't need the funding. Name to appear on the card, humbleabode.us. So that's my Airbnb arbitrage business. So I started that in Was it 2021? Just make a fake number or something like that. We're gonna put 450,000. Let me just make sure my data points online. God, I really don't want to do all this. So go through all that. Really, I'm not going to fill out this whole application just because it's pretty straightforward. But the thing I wanted to highlight is they will be asking for, what type of industry you work in. Again, the key thing is we want to say we're something like consulting. So, the drop down menu, you're going to choose professional. And then it'll ask for like the subcategory. You're going to do scientific plus management. Scientific and management. And then it's going to do another drop down menu for the subcategory. And you're going to click management consulting. So that's it with US Bank. You guys get it. Going into Bank of America. Bank of America's, I talked about in another video, Bank of America is kind of shitty because they give pretty low limits comparably to all these other banks. But the cool thing with them is they have not one, not two, but 3 0% interest business credit cards. Those are only for 9 months though. But you can apply for all three at one time and it only comes up for one inquiry. So we'd click apply now here. Boom, boom. Type in your business name, all that information, pretty straightforward. Business structure. An LLC, type of industry. Again, if we're doing consulting, we want to do services. It's going to say industry subtype. We're going to do business consulting services. Do they have that? Boom. And then gross annual sales. Let me cross-reference this. I normally like to put generally 450K for everything. But let me just see from past applications. Gross annual sales. We'll say like again, we'll just say 450,000. You're the business established. Put that in. This is a non-operating entity. These are going to be no. This is a borrow on behalf of the business. So all your personal info. Job title at the business. For this, I would put executive. Something that sounds sexy. Total household income, so if you have like a wife or something, I would do your income plus theirs. Make sure to inflate both of them. For something like this, you'd put like 300,000 for yourself. So whatever your wife does to, add that. So let's just say it's 400,000. I'll just say 300. We'll say it's like 300,000. That's fine. Source of income. Make sure to say you're employed, just because obviously don't say you're unemployed. They're not going to trust you. But if you're employed, it looks like, okay, this guy has a stable job, obviously. And we're going to say something like executive just because it sounds more attractive. They're going to assume you're making quite a bit of money. Housing status, monthly housing payment. So let's say your mortgage or your rent is like $2,000. I'd probably deflate these numbers just because the lower your monthly payment is, it shows kind of a lower DTI. That's your debt to income ratio. But that's pretty much it for Bank of America. That's some application tips. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Cool, cool. So that kind of wraps it up with those 4 cards, or 4 banks. Something I do want to shine some light on is, if you ever get a low limit and you apply through a relationship manager, you could email them directly asking for a credit limit increase, and they'll make a case for you to the underwriting on why you should get approved for that higher credit limit. So if we're going through the relationship manager, the conversation will go something along the lines like, hi, I'd like to increase my limit to X amount. Let's say we want it. Let's say you only got approved for like a 10K card with Chase, it might not make sense to ask for a 50K because it's a big shot out of the way. Maybe ask for something more like 30K because that's a little bit more reasonable. And just kind of explain to them like, yeah, my business is very low risk. We're a consulting business, so we don't have any costly overhead. In order for us to secure new clients, it does require upfront costs, and we get paid usually within a couple months timeline. So we would really like to take advantage of the 0% feature and then continue using the card once we have locked in our clients. Right now, I've been using, American Express Bank, but I'd really like to use my new card with you guys. If you have financials to actually show them, like business revenue, tax documents, bank statements, then attach that to the email. If you have high limits on another card, send them what their competition is giving you. And other big thing is if you don't hear back with them, don't bug them. Wait a week, then follow up, just because you never want to piss these guys off. They're a really good person to have in your your network, but they have tons of other clients. Don't be fucking annoying, and be patient. But basically, with that script that I just went through, we're making that case with them, right? We're giving a reasonable amount to ask for the credit limit increase. It's not going to be, something too outlandish from what your original approval was. You're letting them know the business is low risk. You could trust us. And you're letting them know, like, this is how my business runs. This is how I'm going to spend the money. And letting them know why it's really important that you need it. And you're also, talking about your competition, their competition. So if you got that low limit with Chase, mention how Amex gave you a higher credit limit or something that might give them more of that push. But yeah, the other key thing is with these relationship managers, if you're applying through them, they can only help you until before the card is activated. So make sure that before you activate the card and you need to apply for that credit limit increase, make sure that you hit them up before you actually activate the card. But that's pretty much it, guys. I mentioned earlier, key thing, make sure to track all your data points using the funding report template. Be optimistic with your numbers. And again, the goal is to get the highest credit limit approvals every time. But just know sometimes it doesn't always work in our favor. But that's where the reconsideration line comes in. The credit limit increases come in. But again, just remember, we could keep the ball rolling. We don't take L's, we take lessons. And once we start stacking these cards, I highly encourage you guys, again, to post these wins in the Facebook group. One, it's very motivating for other new students to see this. And number two, by sharing your data points and how you applied, it's going to help us build a giant database system of what works and what does not work. But hell yeah, guys, super stoked to have you guys on this. Hope this was a lot of value. Make sure to go through this video again before you apply, and obviously apply all the other strategies in the program. But I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.